Alrighty, there we are. Let's go. Hey, Chidarin. Yeah, things look good on my side, so we can jump right in. Alright, where were we? Rain in winter is way too quiet. Gazing at the scenery outside the window after I've finished my tasks, it's only when I notice the flagstones are wet that I realize it's been raining. The cold rain falls without sound, seeping into the cold ground and turning it black. The sky's icy tears have soaked through everything before I notice. Hearing a tentative voice behind me, I turn around.
書類、ここに置いておきます。ありがとう。
Although I grin brightly at her, the smile the secretary returns is awkward. She scurries off into the corner of the room where the rest of my colleagues are gathered. Of course, it wouldn't help my case if I was rude to her.
人の口に戸は立てられないとは言うが。
It probably wasn't Nerine who leaked it. Still. News of my relationship with Ringo started as a drip falling here and there to the placid surface of the academy, until the drips turned into rivulets that ran together to form one raging river. No one has asked me about it to my face, but by now it's pretty much an open secret. That goes for within my year group and those above and below too. And
二階屋の階でも同様か。
No, they're more than that. They're friends who've been with me and Nerine through thick and thin. Me and Nerine Komikado. The members of the Council of Nicaea had clearly expected me and Neri to end up dating. Some of them even thought we'd been an item ever since we started at the academy, although they'd never have said it out loud. So the issue is not that she's dating another girl, but that she's not dating Nerine? Is that it? That's a little bit... I don't know. It's weird. Why would other people get a say in who you date? Anyway. Which is probably why they feel betrayed. Why? It's... no. Their unconcealed coldness toward me is further proof that they're backing Nerine, who they deem to be the spurned party here.
みんなへ、私の方が振られたのだと釈明すれば、話は早い。
Yeah, okay. Am I the only one who finds this ridiculous? Okay. But...
忠告をくれた友人は、弁
Hey,
解はダサいと
Yuri.
切って捨てるだろうな。
I think of that girl with her feline smile, and then of the girl in the pages of the documents that have been placed on my desk.
会計と監査の二人を口説き落としたか。さすがは我が師だ。
Hey Bea, how's it going? Seeing Suo Shirahane's name on the forms for the student council election candidates, I smile wryly. Both those council members are total squares. I would have set my sights on the winsome secretary and the general clerk.
スオ君のようなタイプは人柄と熱意で口説ける相手の方がいいのか。
She's not just a pretty face. Speak with her a little, and you're sure to be captivated by the truly decent and honest personality behind it. Getting an audience with the girls of a similar temperament is the hard part, but once that's managed, she'll have no problem securing their trust.
こっちは今にも崩壊寸前だけどね。
This is so weird. A self-deprecating smile rises to my face unbidden. Although I'm curious about Suo-kun's next move, there's someone else I need to be focusing on above all others right now.
リンゴ。
I stopped meeting with Ringo-kun when our relationship became public knowledge. Not to protect myself, but to protect her. I can't exactly say this is a pleasant situation for myself, but for Ringo, I can hardly bear to think about it. Still, if I act rashly, I'll only make things worse for her. I truly believe that.
偶然を装って。
I could just pass by the first year classrooms. No. If I pull something like that, it will only pique everyone's curiosity even further. They'll take any slight hint as definitive proof.
どうしたらいい?
The face of the girl who saved me floats before my eyes, and I press my thumbs hard into my temples. Many times I've found my feet carrying me toward her room. But each time reason reared its head, stopping me in my tracks, turning me on my heel, and returning me to my own room. What if I sent her a letter asking her to meet me somewhere? I could slip it into her shoe cupboard like we used to. But
そいつで失敗したんだろうが。
every idea I come up with is stupid. Taking after my father, I turn to face the aquarium. My gaze follows the shadows of the fish as they dart in and out of the seaweed.
どんな場所でもそいつ次第さ。笑えるかどうかは気持ち次第だろ。
I repeat my father's words to the fish, but they have no response from me. Of course they don't. It's their fish. All I get back in return is guilt and unease.
さすがに笑えない。どうしたらいいと思う?
I can see Ringo's cherubic face in the glass. The illusion brings back the feeling of her soft, slender body in my arms. Despite not wearing any perfume, her skin gave off a deliciously tantalizing scent. It lingered on my clothes, that unique smell of blossoming womanhood. And now I'm not just seeing things, I'm smelling them. I'd been so lost in staring at the fish that I hadn't noticed it at first, but now, a similar scent to Ringo's, yet with a more masculine bass note, brings me back to reality. I slowly turn around.
ようやく気がついた。こんな美人が近くにいたっていうのに不覚だよ。軽口を叩けるなら、そこまで心配しなくてもよかったみたいですね。
Touched by Yaegaki-kun's concern, a genuine smile makes its way to my lips. However,
返しが来ない。やっぱり重症だったか。
she grimaces at me.
久しぶりのきちんとした会話だ。純粋に楽しいんだよ。人嫌いのネクラのインドア派女との会話が楽しいなんて、随分とやられているようですね。
She's supposedly used to being alone, but we've been friends for a while now. Seems like she's starting to develop a needy streak. Despite clearly setting me up for a riposte, it's as much as I can do to force a weak smile. Oh, bear.
ま、やられているのは佐々木妹も同じようですがね。
She says.
リンゴが? 彼女はどうしているんだ?
Oh, okay.
落ち着いてくださいよ。こんな場面を見られたらまた誤解されちまう。そんなことはいい。話を聞かせてくれ。そいつを話しに来たんです。話しますがね。でもとりあえず肩の手を離してください。正直に言うとめちゃくちゃ痛い。すまない。
I mean, that's cute. Like, she really cares about Ringo. It's not just a rebound or her just trying to feel wanted by someone, anyone. She really cares about her. It's cute. When I release my iron grip on her, Yaegaki-kun rubs her shoulder. I apologize again for misjudging my strength.
ま、それだけ佐々木妹のことが心配だったってことですからね。むしろ、まあそうなるだろうねとか冷静に言われたら回れ右するところでしたよ。すまない。それでリンゴのことだが、強い言葉を使いましたが、実際のところそこまでひどい状態じゃない。わかりやすい嫌がらせみたいなものはないですよ。
That's good.
かなりよそよそしくされちゃいますがね。
When I tell her that sounds about the same as what I'm experiencing, she informs me with a feline smirk that it's a little worse for Ringo. How so?
教室では白羽と委員長の目が光っているからないがしろにはできないんですが、まあ距離は取られていますね。そうか。
Feeling grateful to Suo-kun and Hanabishi-kun, I sag slightly in relief, but Yaegaki-kun looks apprehensive. Erika badass.
私としてはクラスのやつの態度よりも驚いたことがあったんですけどね。
旧友の態度に驚かないか。両家の子女が集まるこの学院でも変わらないんだなと毒を吐くかと思ったよ。
No, that's okay. In situations like this, a little humor is a lifesaver, so no worries.
育ちがどうだろうが、基本女ってのは変わらないもんですよ。集団になれば驚くほど同じだ。
Well, that's true. Her words bring back memories of all the various schools I attended back in the day.
私の試験ですけどね。女ってのは属するものを作りたがるんですよ。まんまの意味としての属、友達や部活、趣味、自分とつながる属が。
属か。
ええ、女のいさかいなんて大抵そいつが元で起きる。自分に属さないものは排除しようとする。そいつが少数ならもっとわかりやすくなる。
I nod my agreement with her philosophical view. At my previous schools, I experienced my own fair share of being treated as different due to my appearance.
それで驚くこととは？
こいつもあまり愉快じゃないことだ。まさかあいつか。
The way she trails off leaves an ominous shadow hanging over us. Could it be that Sister Basket has turned it into an issue? Ichigo-kun's keeping her distance too. I think it's about Ichigo-kun. That would make the most sense. Yes, that's the one. Okay.
佐々木一吾くんが距離を置き出した。
Looks like you're thinking straight again, she says with a smirk.
忠告をした時にこうなるような気はしていたんですが、あれほど露骨に避けるようになるとは思わなかった。
そうか。
I get that this is a messed up situation. After all, Ichigo-kun admitted her feelings for me first, but...
なんだかんだ言っても姉妹だ。それに、佐々木姉が八代先輩に向けていたのは、もう少し軽い感情、憧れとかだと思ってたんですけどね。
人嫌いの割にはよく見ているじゃないか。
人嫌いだからですよ。猫は自分に近寄ってくる相手が猫好きなのかそうじゃないのかしっかり観察している。自分の身を守るために。
That brings back thoughts of my past self and of Nerine Komikado. Things that are now out of my reach.
あいつらは同質だ。針のむしろなんじゃないですかね。
This information hits me hard and I feel a pressure on my chest, making it hard to breathe. All I feel is remorse.
ずいぶん苦い顔をしているようですが、うちのクラスに顔を出すとか、佐々木姉妹の部屋に押しかけようなんて真似はしないでくださいよ。
I find this very weird. I feel like I don't want to fully believe this. There's something more going on. It's not just this.
わかっているさ。
Yaegaki-kun looks up at me dubiously as I wring the words out.
佐々木姉はともかく、クラスでは白羽がうまくやっているんです。ご破産にはしないでほしい。
リンゴをかばっているのか。今は大事な時だろうに。
She's not yet an official candidate, but if things go well, after this will come the voting. Of course, protecting Ringo would be a huge minus for her when it comes to that. Yeah, she's not gonna stop doing it just for that.
あいつは自分を卑下しますがね。白羽の長所は 貧乏くじを引けるところですよ。分かっていてそれができる。
自分の評価を下げると分かっていても。
そう、分かっていてもです。バカだから熱いかまどに手を突っ込むんじゃない。分かっていて貧乏くじを率先して引くやつだから。
I have the feeling that she would have gone on to say she's special. But she catches herself before she does and swallows the words, her face flushing. What's so wrong with saying that? Why are all of these people holding back? It's like a whole... just... it's a whole I'm gonna hold back my feelings fest in this novel. Jeez. What is so wrong about praising a person that you care about?
八重垣くんもだいぶ貧乏くじを引いているように見えるけどね。
What, would she be breaking character if she said that? Oh.
私のは面白がりなだけですよ。それでいて刹那主義なだけです。で、これもただの面白がりからの提案があるんですがね。
She beckons to me, a wicked smirk curling up her lips.
悪巧みかい？
こいつは好意ですよ。佐々木妹の憔悴しきった顔を見るのは忍びない。だから。
Startled by the proposal, she whispers to me. I stare into her... this word again. Verdigris eyes? Green-gray, I guess that's what it was. Evil Erica scheme. Looking through those windows to discover her true intentions.
その提案、ぜひ受けさせてもらうよ。
Yeah, and we're not being told what that is, of course. Why would we be told? Just like Harry and the Hendersons. I don't know that. Her face is the very picture of self-satisfaction, and there's a slightly mocking lilt to her voice. In order to understand her meaning, I have to explain the movie, and later TV show, Harry and the Hendersons. Released in 1987, the movie starts with an ordinary American family, the titular Hendersons, driving home from a camping trip. On their drive back to Seattle, they hit something with their car. Oh no. That something turns out to be none other than Bigfoot, the beast of legend. Thinking they've killed the creature, the family take the body home with them. However, it turns out not to be dead, and a very much alive Bigfoot proceeds to rampage through their home. Eventually, they manage to come to an understanding with the beast. They name him Harry and decide to look after him in secret. They gradually grow closer until one day, one of the neighbors catches sight of Harry and...
つまり、それってどういう意味なのです？
She tilts her head, seemingly not following my explanation.
八重垣くんは僕へとある提案をした。絶対に見つからない合いびきの場所として彼女たちの部屋を貸し出す。だね。
Ah, verdigris. Okay. The Anglo-French phrase from which we get the modern word verdigris. Oh, okay, interesting. Green of Greece. I wouldn't have thought of Greece. Cool stuff. Yaegaki-kun made the proposition for Ringo's sake, to offer her somewhere more comfortable than her current bed of thorns.
つまり、八重垣くんと高崎くんがヘンダスン一家で、僕とリンゴがかくまわれているビッグフットのハリーってわけさ。
I see. And so here they are, offering to make their room available to us.
本当にいいのですか？
She blinks in surprise at Yaegaki-kun, who returns the look with a broad smirk.
構わない。ここであと2年以上やっていくのに、貸しはできるだけ作っておいた方がいいからな。
ね。エリカ。
憎まれ口を叩かないの。気にしないでいいのよ。ゆっくりしていってね。
Ringo's expression immediately brightens upon receiving a rare smile from Takasaki-kun. Just seeing her expression light up like that makes it worth accepting the offer.
夏頃はお前の方が怪物役のハリーだったんだけどな。 ビッグフットのハリーはベジタリアンで野菜しか食べないんだ
I
よ。
see what she means.
まさにハマり役だろ。
出会った頃を言っているならね。ヘンダスン一家みたいにかくまうなんて優しいところ一つもなかったじゃないの。
They're so cute. I miss their bickering. We don't get as much of it in this one. She glares down at Yagaki-kun with her hands on her hips, but the other girl merely smiles cat-like back at her.
何？クラスに私を気遣ってくれる人がいて本当に嬉しかったのです。ありがとう、八重垣ちゃん、千鳥。
Aww. The two of them are lost for words as Ringo takes each of their hands and thanks them with the utmost sincerity. Oh, this is so cute!
気にするな。ただの気まぐれさ。
Her genuine gratitude must have touched a nerve as Yagaki-kun looks away and scratches her head awkwardly.
僕からも礼を言うよ。八重垣くん、高崎くん。
私の真意は話したでしょ。別に構いませんよ。ただ、ベッドを使うなら千鳥の方にしてもらいたい。この足だとシーツを交換するのも骨なんでね。
She had to make that joke. I can tell that she wouldn't have been able to keep it in. That's one thing that she doesn't hold back. Ringo flushes as rosy red as her namesake fruit. With great exaggeration, I tell them I'll make sure to do so. Okay.
エリカ？
なんだよ、冗談くらい。
そう、八代先輩たちに私のベッドを貸すということはエリカのベッドで網手同士親密な触れ合いをしたいということね。
Chidori got you back. She got you back good.
遠回しに求めなくてもいいの。私はいつだって構わないのだから。
何をだよ。
Yagaki-kun practically barks back at her, her face flushing as scarlet as Ringo's. Both Ringo and Takasaki-kun laugh.
私はいい後輩に恵まれたな。
Real friends who will offer a hand in times of need.
それじゃあせっかくだからコーヒーを入れましょう。リンゴさんはコーヒーは大丈夫かしら？ミルクと砂糖が入ってるなら。私も甘いコーヒーの方が好きよ。エリカはブラックよね。
分かっていて聞くな。私も甘いやつに決まってるだろ。甘くないコーヒーなんてコーヒーじゃない。
Huh. I thought black referred to both not having milk and not having sugar. But I guess then it's just about milk. Okay. Chuckling, Takasaki-kun heads over to the coffee mill to prepare their orders.
コーヒー通の八代先輩の前で言うセリフじゃなかったですね。
なに、僕はどんなコーヒーも愛している。僕の愛は広いのさ。
She nods understandingly.
ま、こんな状況になっているんだ。そうだよな。
She murmurs to herself.
いや、なんだ。別に煽ろうとかからかってるわけじゃない。私も、ほら。
Ah, Erika, when are you gonna learn? All of your jokes and remarks always come to bite you in the back. She jerks her chin in the direction of Takasaki-kun, now grinding the beans.
わかるだろ?
Oh, it's a statement that conveys a lot.
女性同士の恋。
I'm already well aware that I'm gay, but what about Iegaki-kun and Ringo? A question suddenly occurs to me. Do they think of these feelings as a temporary affliction, or something that will persist even after they've left the academy behind?
そうだ。せっかく部屋を提供したんです。ぜひ、のろけを聞かせてくださいよ。
のろけ？
佐々木妹のどこが気に入ったかってことですよ。
I like that she likes me. Ooh, that's not it. I feel at ease around her. Yeah, probably this. Yeah, okay. If you're ever in a situation where you just like the fact that someone likes you, it's no good. No. That's not where you should be. It's not fair to the other person as well. So, what do I like about Ringo Sasaki?
今更ながら考えたことがなかったな。
Putting a finger to my chin, I mull it over.
ん？悩まないと出てこないとか？
It's negative res.
違う。改めて考えたことがなかったからだよ。好きなところはたくさんあるが。
たくさんあるのですね。
She's so cute.
これだというものは。
Thinking it over, I look into Ringo's flushed face. Got it.
一緒にいて落ち着けるところだな。
落ち着ける？なんだかありきたりな理由ですね。
No.
ありきたりということは万人にとって大切な事柄だってことだろ。
嬉しいです。
Feeling like I've just made an unexpected confession, I'm conscious of my own cheeks growing hot. Even Yaegaki-kun seems too tongue-tied to poke fun at us. Still blushing red, Ringo glances at me bashfully. When she looks up at me through her lashes, her gaze strikes a chord deep inside me. Even I've been worn down by the stares of those around me. When I think of what Ringo must have been going through, compassion blooms within me.
リンゴ。
Without her saying a word, I find myself drawn in by those eyes.
あら？
The fragrant scent of coffee reminds me of the fact that we're in Yaegaki-kun's room, which I'd completely forgotten for a brief moment.
自由に使っていいとは言いましたが、人目を少しは気にしてほしい。
すまない。
My face feels like it's on fire. Yaegaki-kun takes her cup from her Amitia partner.
実はもう一つ提案があるのですけどね。
何かな。
鍵が2階屋の貝預かりなら最高なんですけどね。そいつが前提でもう一つ。ここよりも気兼ねなくデートができるところがあるんですよ。
In response to her beckoning, I lean in close so that my ear is by her lips. To get straight to the point, yes, the Council of Nicaea did indeed have the key to the room Yaegaki-kun spoke of. And that room is... Oh,
や
alright.
りたい放題できるってことだ。
Honestly, I have no idea why I didn't think of it myself. The underground theater beneath the chapel, the St. Joseph, is rarely opened unless it's for an event. And so the key is left in the care of the Council of Nicaea, who undertake its monthly cleaning.
初めからここでデートをしておけばよかった。
でも視聴覚室で映画を見たりとか、飼育小屋で一緒に餌やりをしたり、楽しかったです。
思い出は何者にも代え難い。
Ringo smiles and nods from her position atop my lap. Maybe because we're away from prying eyes and therefore free to be ourselves, Ringo has been on the offensive since we've entered the place. Offensive? What?
ゆずりは先輩の胸すごく落ち着きます。
そうかい。なら大きく実った甲斐があった。
She leans back against me, resting her small head in the dip between my breasts.
心臓トクトク言ってますですよ。
緊張しているのだよ。僕も乙女だ。
The sensation of her plump little butt against my thighs. Her ripe, girlish scent. Everything is heightened in the stillness of the underground theater.
この体勢も素敵ですけど、向き合った方がもっと素敵な気がしますですね。
向き合うって。
Then we'd be well and truly embracing. Just the thought of it stirs up a desire in me that I know I'd have a hard time fighting.
僕はこうしてリンゴの体温を感じているだけで幸せだよ。
When the apple attacks, you get apple juice. I'm happy enough just feeling your warmth. Oh god, yes. I feel uncomfortable. Not that I have anything against this, but like when they go a little bit too deep and like too explicit, let's say, and too much into things that are supposed to just be intimate, I feel like I'm peeking at things I shouldn't be seeing because it's private. So I am in this like really weird I have this weird feeling.
これくらいなら八重垣ちゃんの部屋でもできるですよ。
自分から貸し出す旨を言ってきたのだから文句はつけないだろうが僕が耐えられないよ。
Although I'm able to be open with my feelings for the first time in my life, there's still some internal resistance I need to overcome. I still struggle to bring myself to kiss and hug her properly.
姉にいちご姉に気を使っているからですか？
それは
I trail off. I don't know what I should say. I want to shrink back from her. With her head on my chest, it feels like she'll be able to hear my inner thoughts via the conspicuous beat of my heart.
ゆずりは先輩は優しいですね。
臆病なだけさ。
That's what I want to say. The cowardly lion. In the back of my mind, she's there.
ゆずりは先輩は今まで好きになった人はいたのですか？
I guess with my father. I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, this one. A shadowy figure looms in the back of my mind, dark and oppressive.
あまり話したくはない。
I tell her.
ごめんなさい。話しづらいことでしたか？
That is the understatement of the century.
ごめん。僕がいいなと思うのはみんな女性だったからね。あまり理解されないかと思って。
I don't know what to make of this statement. Is this like still that perception she has that probably Ringo's feelings are not... They're just like temporary, they're like a phase or something, they're not serious enough? Because if Ringo is dating her and she believes Ringo wouldn't understand that she's had crushes on ladies, isn't that a bit of a contradiction?
私としてもゆずりは先輩が好きです。同じですよ。
Yeah, right? I swear, sometimes this novel makes me question my sanity and I constantly wonder, am I just tired or is it that they're just struggling with things and are not seeing them clearly? Maybe it's both, I don't know. She protests as she looks up at me and I thank her.
それに八重垣ちゃんが言ってました。女性同士の恋はおかしいものではないと。キリンの9割は同性同士で付き合っているのだって。
90%? That's high, what?
オットセイなんかも同じだって言ってましたですよ。
How are they not going extinct? That's a bit high, but
それ
okay.
は多分励まし20、ヤユが80くらいのノリで言ったのだと思う。
Still, I decide not to say anything.
慰めてくれてありがとう。
GG, Erica. Ringo smiles up at me before burrowing her head back into my chest once more. GG stands for gay giraffes. Good one.
こんなに満ち足りた日がずっと続けばいいですね。
Here, during our secret meetings in the St. Joseph, I'm free to speak and act true to myself. And while I do still have to be a little bit on my guard in Yaegaki-kun, Takasaki-kun's room, it's still a lot of fun talking with people who understand us. As Ringo says, it would be nice if things could go on like this forever. But when it comes down to it, avoidance doesn't get you anywhere. The things you put off will eventually come back around to bite you in the ass. Yes, that is a lesson that seems that everyone here needs to learn. Yeah, that's true. The more you run from something, the worse it's gonna be when it catches up with you. Yep. Let me mute something here because my phone keeps vibrating. There we go. What was it I'd said? Okay, what's happening? A wonder lasts but 9 days. The rumors will die down soon. I recall saying something like that, so it must have been in regard to me and Ringo. But this is all preamble, like the intro to a Rakugo skit. The doubts surfacing in my mind right now are of a different sort. The words that had hit me like an unexpected blow to the head.
Wendigo だって?
Again? I repeated back to her as she fiddles with her braids. She's never been comfortable with these topics.
八代先輩の耳には何も入っていないのですか?
But what if I'm really, really fast? They won't catch my ass. Yeah, eventually you'll get tired. Like, they don't even have to chase you much, they just have to wait until you get tired of running from them. And then they'll be ready to pounce on you. My favorite tomato sauce ravioli suddenly tastes like sawdust. Oh god, no. That sounds so amazing. Please don't ruin food. It's not the fault of the vibrant green spinach pasta before me.
あれはもう解決済みの案件じゃないか。
What?
その顔だとまた七不思議のウェンディゴが現れたようだ。
Oh my god. We never get rid of it. It's just haunting us. Hanabishikun seems awkward as she continues playing with her hair.
実はこの間、二階屋の会の方と話していて、そこでウェンディゴのお話が出たのです。
That someone was probably the council treasurer or auditor, whose recommendations she'd received in order to submit her candidacy.
一時期噂にはなっていたけど、立ち消えていて。でも、目撃した人がまた現れ出したと憂鬱そうにおっしゃって。
どういうことだ?
The true form of the wandering Wendigo of the woods had been none other than dorm mother Katabami. The injured baby raccoon that started the whole thing had recovered, and the culprit had promised not to act so thoughtlessly again. And yet now...
どうしたんだい?
もしかして私、何かまずいことを話してしまったのでしょうか?
いや、情報提供ありがたいよ。最近は誰もまともに口を聞いてくれない。二階屋の会ですらこの通りだしね。
八代先輩。
Sorry. If something isn't urgent, it doesn't reach my ears. I guess they don't see fit to bother me with trivial matters, but... I don't think this is a trivial matter. Previously, I would have been the first to hear about something like this.
そろそろ身から出たサビとはいえ、二階屋の会だけでも正さなければならないかな。
We don't approve of your dating, so we're just not gonna do our job as members of the council anymore. Where is this coming from? I don't get it.
ありがとう。生徒会選挙、うまくいくよう祈っているよ。
With that, I chow down on the raviolo that has been speared on my fork. I guess it's one piece, so it's correct. That has been speared on my fork this whole time, but the sauce, ordinarily delicious, turns bitter in my mouth. No! I've had pasta too tonight. It was delicious. Please, enjoy your food.
やはり、片上寮長ではない。
Troubled by the news of the Wendigo I gleaned from Hanabishikun, I'd wanted to go and ask about it right away. Instead, I had to wait until after the Council of Nicaea meeting, but...
片上寮長は否定していた。では、誰がウェンディゴを演じている?
I gaze out the window at the scene, dipped in sunset reds. My eyes are drawn to the well-manicured lawn and the row of cherry trees that serve as a windbreak. A single bird lands on a branch, looking around with dull eyes.
2階屋の階から得た情報だと、また白い影を木々の合間に見たと。
The origin of that white shadow was Dormother Katabami's homemade sack. So what could it be this time?
片上寮長の瞳から部屋を覗いたが、嘘をついている節はなかった。なら、集団心理のようなものか？
The Wendigo had been the talk of the school for a hot minute. Maybe some frail souls spooked themselves into seeing it, causing a chain reaction where anyone out walking alone was able to convince themselves they'd seen it too.
娯楽の少ないところだ。そんなところかもしれないな。
It does seem like enough to qualify as an actual incident. And despite the spreading rumors, the faculty don't seem to view it as a problem.
僕の出る幕はなさそうだ。
I peeked into the room behind her eyes, but hadn't seen any new sacks. Oh, that's funny. Concluding that there's no real teeth to the rumors, I heave a deep sigh as I continue to watch the sunset gilded dove. What a peaceful scene. My optimistic outlook was, however, soon betrayed in the worst way possible. Oh god, what now? Oh. That day, I approached the chapel at midnight as I had done countless times before. Ringo Sasaki did not come to me. What? I arrived precisely at our meeting time. Usually she'd be there before me, but not tonight. The path was muddy from the brief but heavy rain that fell a little earlier, and I thought perhaps it had delayed her, but 10 minutes passed and then 20, and I started to worry. This was out of character. Oh my god, no. Plot twist, she gave them out already? What? The sacks? Ay. 30 minutes and I felt like metal clasps were tightening around my stomach. I had a bad feeling. And my bad feelings are never off the mark. I hurried back towards the dorms, the mud sucking at my feet and slowing me down. On my way,
聖堂へ来る途中、雨に降られて戻った。いや、雨が降っていたのは9時頃から11時頃までだ。待ち合わせの時間を考えれば、急な雨に降られるということはない。まさか、ウェンディゴにでも遭遇して。
terrible conjectures crowded my head, spurring me on to reach her as fast as I could. Yes. Yes, what? Oh, look at the little and the big Ringo on the bed. How cute is that? Okay. Pushed on by that bad feeling, I find myself at the twins' room, where I had resolved not to go for fear of drawing attention to our relationship. Although I haven't properly faced up to her since Ringo and I started dating, seeing Ichigo-kun and hearing her voice calms me slightly. Those apples are all that's left of her. No!
リンゴはもう寝てしまったのかい?
I questioned her using Ringo's unembellished name, which I usually say for when we're alone. In my fervor, I voiced it without thinking, and realizing the cruelty of my words, fell silent. Huh. For a second, an incomparably sad expression flits across Ichigo-kun's face before she points towards the triple bunk bed.
さらわれていなかったか。
Seeing Ringo's figure on the bottom bunk, the cruel clasps finally released their hold on my stomach. My bad feeling was off the mark this time. I'm relieved to know that she simply fell asleep and missed our meeting. But then,
なんだ?
seeing the troubled and strangely fearful expression on Ringo's face. Ringo's face? Isn't she sleeping? What? I am confused. Okay, I realized that something isn't right here. I searched back through my photographic memory. Right.
リンゴのベッドは下段じゃない。
She should be in the top bunk. I identify the incongruity like it's a spot the difference puzzle. Then I make my way over to her. The moment she tries to sit up in bed... Oh, okay, so she's awakened at this time, right? Her face constricts. I pull back the covers, already knowing what I'm going to see. Bandages are wrapped around her ankle. She grits her teeth, overcome with pain simply from shifting her position slightly. I ask her fiercely, resisting the urge to grab her by the shoulders.
転んだだけではないだろう。それだったら隠す必要などないからな。一体何が？
襲われたんです。
何？
聖堂でゆずりは先輩を待っている時に。
Ichiko-kun explains to me in a fearful tremor. Ringo had set out to arrive at the chapel 13 minutes before our arranged time. She'd taken care when she stepped on the sodden ground. Then, while she was reading a book on the stone paving in front of the chapel and waiting for me to arrive...
襲われた。
はい。それで足をくじいてしまったものの、なんとか寄宿舎まで戻ってきて、私はたまたまロビーに行って戻ってきたリンゴを見つけて保健室へ。
She'd rushed to her sister's aid without a second thought. Perhaps their relationship is back to how it was before. Then...
大丈夫です。くじいただけで折れたとかじゃないですから。
Goosebumps rise across my skin as Ringo forces a brave smile for me. It feels at first like I have the chills, but then I realize the true source of this feeling. Anger. Anger towards those who have kept their distance from Ringo, shunning her for being different. The students I picture are pure manifestations of malice. No eyes, noses, or eyebrows, just cruel crescent moon mouths.
待っていてくれ。僕がそいつを捕まえてくる。
Anger boiling in my stomach, I turn tail without waiting for Ringo's response. How? Like, they're probably not there anymore. I'd known since before I arrived at the scene of the attack. No, even before I declared to Ringo that I'd get them. There's no way the culprit would still be there. There's nothing for me to gain by coming back here. Even so, my prickling skin and frayed nerves won't allow me to rest. I search all around and inside the chapel, but find nothing that would serve as evidence of the crime. The only signs of the attack are the footprints left in the mud in front of the building. Expelling my irritation in one long breath, I examined the ground intently. There are two distinct sets of footprints approaching the chapel, but only one leaving. All are of the same size and sole. How can that be? You also approached the chapel and then left. Where are your footprints? Did they, like, disappear into the ether? Did you take a different path? Are there different paths? I don't know. One from when I set out to meet Ringo, one from when I went back after she failed to show up. Okay. Then one from now when I returned. My footprints are the only ones to mar the earth. Okay. That's what she meant, right? In other words, they erased both Ringo's prints and their own. My guts boil again at the knowledge that this was not spontaneous, but a carefully planned assault. Huh. I try to imagine someone cleaning up footprints all along the way, because it sounds like it's a really long way where you leave footprints in the mud. And the image in my head is just as ridiculous as Erika and Umineko putting duct tape on windows while crawling the walls like a spider in the freaking rain. It's just as ridiculous as that. Like, I don't know if I buy that. But okay. Punching the wall doesn't help to disperse my anger, and I return to the dorms feeling thoroughly despondent. Back in the dark, silent lobby, I slump my shoulders. The lights are off in the aquarium and the fish are sleeping. There's nothing to soothe my distress at my own worthlessness. I make my way unsteadily to the shoe lockers, wanting some small reminder of Ringo. Her cute little shoes are plastered with mud. Dirt both clings to the soles and is splattered across the surface of her shoes, bringing to mind painful images of her dragging her foot back through the wet earth. I thought that even if people were ignoring her now, things would smooth over with time. I thought that all I had to do was stick with Yaegaki-kun's suggestion until then. Well, I doubt she's clenching her fists. She's probably clenching her fists. So hard, my nails leave red crescents in my palms. I finish my confession. And that's the story of what happened a few days prior. I look at the two girls who've been listening to my confession.
そんなことが。
だいたい耳にした通りだな。
Yaegaki-kun's gaze had remained fixed on the page, but now she closes her book and strokes her chin as she stares at me.
佐々木妹が襲われた話の流れは噂で流れているのとそう変わりない。泥で汚れた靴や足跡が消されてたってのは初耳ですけどね。
安楽椅子探偵は犯人が分かったかい？
With a feline smile, Yaegaki-kun nods in the affirmative. Both Takasaki-kun and I lean forward eagerly.
犯人は七不思議の一つ。鐘楼のルーガルーですよ。
Oh, God.
狼男が犯人だ。
Please, not another one. I don't know if I can take it. She declares cheerfully.
そんなことは分かっているよ。
I tell her. The werewolf of the bell tower. It's the hottest topic in school right now. What? I thought the Wendigo was back. Okay.
それってリンゴさんが言っているのよね。自分を襲った犯人が狼のような毛並みを持った怪物だって。
そう。今やウェンディゴの影も形もない。ルーガルーにとって変わられた。鐘楼のルーガルー。新しい七不思議の一つだ。
My head was spinning. The shapeshifter of the dorms, Bloody Mary, the goddess of truth, the green hookman, the wandering Wendigo of the woods. To join their ranks, another old character from the Seven Mysteries has been dragged out anew.
だが、もちろん狼男が犯人なわけはない。
Ringo Sasaki is covering for the real culprit. Her kindness won't permit her to voice the truth, that another student assaulted her out of jealousy. And so she created this character from her own knowledge of the Academy's Seven Mysteries to pin the blame on.
でも聖堂にそんな怖い逸話があったなんて驚いたわ。聖堂にしか現れない七不思議の怪異なのでしょ。
まあな、森をさまようウェンディゴよりも鐘楼のルーガルーの方が襲われる場所にしたらうなずける。聖堂はもう森ではないしな。
Something feels a little off about her smile as she responds.
君もリンゴがルーガルーに襲われたと思っているのかい？
まさか。
それじゃあ。
I'm about to ask her how she can possibly smile about it, but before I can...
ただ、こいつは怪我の巧妙だと思っていますよ。
She goes on.
怪我を負って何がいい結果だと言うんだ。
おっと、そんなに睨まないでくださいよ。ただ、今までとは空気が変わったってことを言いたかったんですよ。
何を？
学院のみんなもルーガルーに襲われたなんて本気で信じちゃいないでしょ。でも状況から襲われたのは確かだ。今まで佐々木妹に辛く当たっていたものも距離を取っていたものも今度の一件で留飲が下がった。 いや違うな。かわいそうってな風潮になった。
怪我人に強く当たっていては自分が悪者になるってことか。
ま、そういうことです。これで佐々木妹の状況も好転するでしょう。だから怪我の巧妙なんですよ。
I don't know. I wouldn't trust too much into that. If the motivation behind someone not being mean to her is because they would feel like the bad character because now she's hurt, that's not a thing that lasts, right? At some point she's gonna recover from her injury. So then what is the justification that keeps them from being mean to her all over again? Takasaki nods with comprehension and I...
怪我させられたことには業腹だが。
Hey, Polly Plushie. As Yaigaki-kun says, this may be a case of good coming out of evil. Temporarily, at least, I guess. However,
許す許さないは別の話だ。
Rinko may be covering for them, but that doesn't change the fact that the person who hurt her is still here at the academy. The victim herself brought up a supernatural culprit, the werewolf of the bell tower. As such, the possibility of it being an intruder has been eliminated and the faculty seems to be taking a wait-and-see approach, but I'm not gonna settle for that.
狼狩りだ。
Time to go wolf hunting. I'm getting Fei Shao vibes from this. I don't know about you. Oh god. Time to go wolf hunting. Sure, I got myself all fired up over it, but
参ったな。
I hadn't reckoned with the fact that my ostracization? I just now realized I've never said the noun out loud. Forgive me. Let's move on. Would prove such an encumbrance. I want to hear what people have to say, but they're not coming to me. Like the small fry afraid of the big scary catfish. Since I arrived at the academy, or rather since I decided to be the person I am today, I've always had people around me, so I can endure the situation for a little while.
今まで特に自分から話しかけようとは思わなかったものな。
Because I'd been prudent, I've got through without having to face up to the reality I've been avoiding. Since I still heard anything of importance and I received the daily correspondences, I hadn't seen it myself. I look out at the dormitory building, huddling in on itself under the wintry skies, and heave a heavy sigh.
何をやっているの？
It is, right? I wouldn't have thought of it until I tried to say it out loud and I'm like, ah, okay, wait. Wait. Wallowing in my own fecklessness, I hear a voice from behind me and scratch my neck as I sluggishly turn around.
分かっているよ。そんなにせかさないでも行くさ。
急がないとみんな寄宿舎へ戻ってしまうわ。
ああ。
さあ、早く向かいましょう。
Let's just say ostrich and move on. I had an internal yes, I get it, Nettie. She's the one who's been avoiding me and who I've been going out of my way to avoid. Why is she taking my hand right now? Let's rewind a bit. Oh god. I don't know about you, but I really dislike this. I don't know. Is it the technique? Is it... I don't know what it is in writing where you're suddenly taken to a situation that you don't expect, or like that is in some ways disconnected from what you've been reading about the characters up until that point, in order to, I don't know, draw you in, I don't know, make you interested in like, oh, how did this come to be? What's happening? And then there's a flashback to how everything happened until that point. I don't like that. Why? Just show me the thing. I was at the chapel where Ringo was attacked, fully resolved to go werewolf hunting. I'd gone back first thing in the morning and thoroughly scrutinized the area all over again. Okay. I'm sorry then. A few days had passed, so by this point even my own footprints had disappeared, but with my camera in hand, I had searched around the building to see if the attacker had left anything behind. I'd made faster work of it than I had in the dark on the night of the incident, but in the end I still couldn't find anything that might help pinpoint the culprit. In the afternoon, I'd attempted to gather testimonies from other students, but had been forced to acknowledge that their reticence towards me was even more pronounced than I had realized. You see in that someone kicked my foot, end of the flashback. Yeah, I guess so. In the afternoon, I'd attempted to gather testimonies from the other students. Okay, sorry, I read this already. Classes had ended without me making any progress. Then, after quickly dealing with various matters at the Council of Nicaea, I'd returned to my investigation. And that was when... Okay. Feeling eyes watching me from a fixed distance, I took myself off to a secluded area. I called out to my pursuer from within the rose bushes, but received no response. Still nothing. There was still absolutely no response from whoever was following me. I picked up a pair of gloves that had been left behind from pruning the bushes, turned one inside out, and used them to roll them both into one ball. Ah, okay. Imitating famed pitcher Choji Murata, whom Yaegaki can talk so passionately about, I swung my leg like a pendulum and launched the balled-up gloves at my target bush. You know what? I wanted flashbacks to exist in real life. Telling people what happened is so difficult. I see what you mean, yeah. From that point of view, yeah. I see. Nettie says as we walk to the next club. After class, we'd come to the club building to ask around for information. I think also this kind of situation would have had a bit more tension if we had seen it chronologically, because we are already given the answer that it was Neri who was following her and who was in the bush. But if we hadn't known that, it would have been like, wait, what is this? Who was there? And even if you did guess that it was Neri, it would be more satisfying to see that your guess was right. But now that you know the answer beforehand, and you know that the character ends up in whatever situation they've already shown you, personally for me, that kind of takes something out of the story and does not add to it. But maybe it's just my personal taste. I really don't like these things, and they've done it multiple times in the novel as well. Ostrich size. Yeah, that actually sounds easier. I think it's about attention focusing, not about dramatic tension. Yeah, I see what you mean. I don't know. There's just something about it. It's hard to put the finger on it for me. Why I don't like this? It feels like you're being debated. Like you're shown something and they're like, haha, we're not continuing from this point. We're first going to tell you how we got to this point, and like somewhere later we will continue from there. It's kind of like, yeah, why are you doing this to me? But anyway, it's probably just my personal taste.
だってその
She stops, her cheeks rosy red.
ゆずりはの頬を叩いてしまったから顔を合わせづらくて。
Her words freeze me to the spot too. I hadn't expected her to bring that up now.
こいつはこういうやつだった。
A cynical smile rises to my face. She's always had a way of ruffling my feathers.
叩いたことやっぱり怒っているの、ゆずりは。
I don't think she's mad.
違う。変わらないことが嬉しいんだよ。
変わらない。
温室で僕へリンゴを襲った犯人を見つけるための手助けをしたいって言い出したことだよ。僕ならそんな申し出はできない。
I think you underestimate yourself. I think you would do that for someone you cared about.
佐々木りんごさんが怪我をしたのは私のせいもあるのだもの。襲われたと聞いて黙ってはいられないわ。
She makes the sign of the cross over her chest.
私がゆずりはと佐々木りんごさんとの仲を認めるとみんな言っていればこんなことにはならなかったのだもの。
I understand why she feels guilty. But let's just understand, if the premise is true, that Ringo was assaulted because someone didn't agree with their relationship, that is such an out there attitude to have. Oh, I don't like that these two people who have nothing to do with me are dating. I'm gonna assault one of them. If that's really what happened, which I don't know, there's always more layers to it. It can't be that it's just this, but on the assumption that this is what it is, it's the fault of the person who did it. It's not Neri's fault. Jesus. Let's see. Regret permeates her every word, and I can tell, even without peeping through the windows of her eyes, that she really means it.
仲を認める。
Her words shake something deep within me. If I'm not careful, I could let slip those decisive words. However,
ありがとう。正直手を貸してもらえて助かる。今の僕は敵役だ。
I force myself to speak jokingly, and she puts a hand to her mouth to cover an elegant laugh.
別に敵だなんて思っていないと思うわ。ただみんな戸惑っているだけよ。
属するものかどうか決めあぐねている。
Perhaps she didn't hear me, as the next moment she tugs on my sleeve.
さあ、リンゴさんのためにも次のクラブへ向かいましょう。
My heart leaps at the feel of her hand on my sleeve, and joy and guilt plague me as I allow her to drag me along. Taking the cup from her, I sip on the coffee Neri made for us.
落ち着くな。
While I don't particularly like it black, the bitterness and the perfect temperature warm my cold body and revive my mind.
コーヒーは心を穏やかにさせてくれる。
成分として。
Chemically.
心の栄養としてよ。それで別れて話を聞き出すとなってから誰とお話ししてきたの？
Knowing that it was proving difficult for me to gather information alone, she suggested we work together. So it's a natural question.
そろそろ養護教諭が帰ってしまう時間だったのでね。話を聞きに行ったのさ。
Working together with Neri had cleared my head, and that's when the idea had come to me. I realized that instead of my fellow students, I could be asking the faculty, both the teachers and other staff employed at the academy.
そう、確かに先生方なら。
一生徒の恋愛事情には首を突っ込んでこないだろ。で、養護教諭からは深夜12時近くにいちごくんに連れられたリンゴを治療したと言質を取った。怪我の具合はひどい捻挫。しばらくは歩けないほど重傷だそうだ。
そうよほど襲われた時慌てたのでしょうね。
深夜の聖堂での待ち合わせ。ロケーション的にはゴシックホラー映画でありがちな一場面だものな。僕でも襲われたら肝を潰すさ。
Which is exactly why I can't forgive it. I verbally nudge Nettie for her end, and she takes out a file on the Academy's almanacs and spreads it open on the desk.
私が調べたのは鐘楼のルーガルーの言い伝えよ。年間でも調べてみたけれどルーガルーについての表記はほとんどないわ。
ああ、僕も調べた。確かに他の七不思議と比べて驚くほど少ない。
だから長く勤務されてる教諭やスタッフの方に話を聞いてみたの。すると話が聞けたのは聖堂に住む狼男で出会うとさらわれるということ。
今までの七不思議の怪異と一緒だ。
でもなんというかお話のディテールが薄いの。ただ出会うとさらわれるとだけ。一人だけ真夜中に鳴らないはずの鐘の音が聞こえるときにルーガルーが現れると聞いたけれど。
一人だけなら確かな要素でなく、よくある怪談話の尾ひれのように思えるな。
私もそう思ったわ。この鐘楼のルーガルーだけ骨子のようなものがない。どこかおとぎ話のようにも聞こえる。
I nod. Drinking my coffee, I turn to the glaring question.
なぜ今さら鐘楼のルーガルーという七不思議が現れたのかしら。
確かにリンゴが狼男に襲われたと言ったとはいえ。
Until now, the apparition seemed to have been relegated to a side note in some dusty almanacs. So how did it take root amongst the student population so fast?
ねえ、ゆずりはもう一度聖堂を見に行ってみましょう。
I don't particularly want to go with Nettie to the place where Ringo and I shared many a secret date. But...
さあ、見聞を終えたらまたコーヒーを入れてあげるから。
She says brightly, and there's no way I can argue.
この石畳のところでゆずり葉を待っていて襲われた。
Narrowing my eyes against the cold red remnants of the day's sun, I stare up at the chapel.
鐘楼のルーガル。身を潜めると言っても聖堂周りの森か地下劇場くらいしかないだろうに。
鐘楼には鐘を鳴らす機械はあるのだろうし、機械を置くスペースがあるのなら。
I knock my heel against the ground where once only my footprints had remained.
無理だな。鍵は教諭方が厳重に保管しているし、鐘楼に通じる扉は年に一度整備の際にしか開かない。
After looking around the area for the umpteenth time, Nydia puts her hand to her cheek. Her eyes narrowed in thought.
やっぱりおとぎ話のような印象ね。
実がなさすぎる。
ゆずり葉の話を聞くと余計にそう思えてきたわ。例えば、そうね、夜遅くに聖堂で相引きするような人を咎めるために流したとか。
Yeah, that definitely did not work.
耳が痛い。
ごめんなさい。でもしてはいけないことを暗に咎めるための装置のような気がするの。夜爪を切ると親の死に目に会えないとか。
What a horribly specific saying. I never really understood that one. Oh, sorry.
それって昔は明かりが薄暗かったから深爪しないようにするための方便だろ。
そのものつまり方便よ。別の例としてあげるなら、鐘楼に登ろうとする生徒が多かったので学院側で流したとか。
Yeah, but that's not really... In my head, that doesn't really fit with the fact that it's barely mentioned. If this was a ruse to deter students from do that, then wouldn't they double down on it a bit more? How is it helpful if it's barely ever mentioned, right? And it's something that's not living in the minds of the student body. If it's an afterthought or a footnote in an almanac, then that's not helpful. We're getting into conspiracy territory here. I laugh. But her brows furrow and she regards me reproachfully.
茶化しているわけじゃない。だが、実際として襲われたんだ。夜更かしをする子供にお化けが出るぞと脅かす話で済んでいない。
I remind her that someone really was hurt. Plus the culprit left no prints at the scene of the crime.
足跡が。
用意周到な相手さ。まさか足跡を消すことで幽霊が相手だと思う。
A cynical smile tugs at the corners of my lips, but...
そう。譲り派の足跡だけが。
Seeing the furrow form between her brows, and the way she touches her ear, a sure tell that she's deep in thought, I feel happy.
こんなにも親身になってくれるなんて。
Having my best friend here with me, the same as ever, serves to bring a little tranquility to the stormy seas of my heart. In my efforts to solve the case of the werewolf of the bell tower, I've gathered plenty of information. I also have several clues to work with. However, like the scattered pieces of a puzzle, they still don't form a complete picture. I can see what the picture should look like, but it's distorted and hardly something I can show to others at this point. Numb. Scarfing down a late lunch, I turn the pieces over in my head, trying to decide which to place down first. There are a few possible candidates, but they all seem too big for the space, too unrealistic. Then... I've heard her say that meals are sacred and deserve to be enjoyed independent of anything else that's going on. Being distracted by something else while eating is apparently rude, and I agree with her.
せっかくの BLT サンドだ。しっかり味わっていただかないとな。
Bacon, lettuce, tomato, and mayo. A perfect BLT sandwich. It's Sunday, so I can take a leisurely lunch in the gazebo without worrying about the time. One of life's little luxuries. Or it would be, usually.
そういえば。
I remember sharing sandwiches here with her, back at the very beginning of autumn. Crisp bacon and crunchy lettuce and tomato. Fragrant coffee.
コーヒー
The aroma really is in the air, and I look around for the
やっ
source.
ぱりここにいたのね。
A soft, gentle voice addresses
ネ
me.
リー。私もご一緒していいかしら。
The memory of that night when she rejected me rears its unwelcome head, making me want to turn away out of pure awkwardness. But my best friend is smiling at me like nothing's changed.
ああ、食べ始めたところだ。まだたくさんある。
Her smile melts my heart, and I give in.
すまないね。鐘楼のルーガルー事件のあらましを聞かせてしまって。神聖な食事中に無粋だった。
I told her about how I went to meet Ringo at the chapel. How I'd waited and waited before going to her room. How I'd then learned that she'd been attacked in front of the chapel. And how she'd suffered a horrible sprain to her ankle. I told her about anything that stood out, the chronology of events, and the mud on Ringo's shoes. How the prints around the chapel had been erased. I told Neri all of it. Well, it is your assumption that they had been erased. The simple fact is that they weren't there. Okay. I find it easier when I'm processing my thoughts to talk them through out loud with someone. And I have a habit of getting carried away like this. Yeah, this is called rubber duck debugging. It's very useful. Although I suppose it's easy to talk about precisely because it's with Neri.
足跡。
She murmurs, touching her earlobe, a sign that she's deep in thought.
ルーガルーの正体は分かったかい？
She turns a hazy gaze on me, like she's awakening from a deep sleep, then blinks to clear the clouds away.
ごめんなさい。少し気になることがあって。
She says,
小さい頃はよく考えをまとめるときに、私の方が譲りはや何度もお話を繰り返し聞かせていたわね。
誰かに概要を話すと客観的に見えるような気がする。今や君だけでなく、僕自身の癖のようなものになっているよ。
Still curious as to what exactly was bugging her, I focus on enjoying the delicious coffee.
神に祈ったらいいわ。きっと救ってくださる。
She genuinely means it, but the suggestion makes me uncomfortable. I suddenly don't feel like continuing this conversation.
違うね。神様が救うのは足元だけだ。
譲りは
It's not something I should have said in front of a devout Christian, but I don't feel like taking it back. Nettie's reproachful gaze remains strained on me as she sips her coffee.
そういえば、ウェンディゴの件はどうなったの？
She changes the subject. She must know that debating religion with me would simply be a waste of time.
ウェンディゴ。ウェンディゴね。確かに、以前はよく聞いた噂話だ。だが、ここ最近はとんとご無沙汰だね。
まるで鐘楼のルーガルーに取って代わられて食べられてしまったみたい。
The Wendigo has been eaten by the werewolf. Yeah, okay, sure. I can't help but chuckle at her graphic phrasing still.
森をさまようウェンディゴか。
Yeah, well, she doesn't know that.
もう餌付けはしていないと言質を取った。
I guess this, what I'm assuming will happen, this serves as an opportunity for them to kind of get close again, to overcome the awkwardness of the confession moment and be comfortable with each other again. But I would hope that at some point there would be some conversation, maybe after this whole thing is solved or whatever, where, you know, Nettie should also, like, she should be who she really is for a moment, and not put on a facade anymore, or like just set it down for a little bit. Yeah, I would hope so. I would hope that there is that kind of moment, but we'll see. I mean, it's more like Nettie just dislikes her being self-deprecating. Ah, yeah, that for sure. That for sure, but like this whole image that she has of Nettie being such a devout Christian, and that's the reason why she's upset or doesn't endorse certain things. I hope that, you know, the perceptions that she has gotten wrong throughout the years about Nettie at some point are dispelled, because this is... After getting the little nugget of insight last time, it just feels sad that they just persist in this when they're so close, right? They persist in this putting up facades for one another. You shouldn't do that. It's a bit sad. Oh well, we'll see.
ねえ、ゆずりは時間があればだけど、ウェンディゴ探しに出かけてみない？
Okay.
時間はないと言いたいが、現状手詰まりなのは確かだ。
Can you read that? Yeah, I think it's fine. I hesitate for a moment.
そうだね。頭を冷やすためにも季節外れのハイキングと行こう。
The forest is still clinging to its autumn colors, but the air now harbors a chill that heralds the change of season. Feeling the icy sting on my cheeks, I brush my fingers across my skin. I'm surprised to discover how cold I am.
そろそろ冬服の出番だな。
ねえ、ゆずりは
なんだい？
佐々木りんごさんの怪我ひどいの？
そうだな。ただの捻挫というよりはひどく痛めている。しばらくは教室でなく自室で自習するそうだよ。
そう。
She asks me if it was Ringo's right leg that she hurt.
足首の捻挫だな。
Yeah, it was the
僕
right
の
one.
弟が以前サッカーの試合で同じ箇所を痛めただろう。
Ah,
具合で言えば
interesting.
同程度かな。
I think that right now Neri acting her usual self also gives Yuzu some sense of comfort and stability. Yeah, no, I'm not saying that now is the moment for that. No. I'm saying that now serves as a way for them to get comfortable around each other again. So of course it is appropriate to act like they've always acted. I'm just saying that after the nuggets of insight that we gained last time, I see their interactions and I can more easily tell when they're putting up facades towards one another. And it makes me sad. So I just hope there will be a moment at some point later on where they can overcome that and let the mask slide down and actually be the real selves around each other. Because obviously they care so much about each other on a deeper level than is all of these like little, I don't know, charade things that they're playing. That they, like, it wouldn't take away from the closeness that they have. I think it would only enhance it. So I hope that happens. That's all I'm saying.
そう。
Her eyes are narrowed and she's touching her ear as she's wont to do when deep in thought. I really wish she would pay more attention when she's walking.
つまずいて怪我をするぞ。
Although she mumbles her agreement, she doesn't pull herself out of her musings. And as I warned, she almost trips up several times on our way to the spot where dorm Mother Katabami had been feeding the raccoon. Thankfully, though, we make it there in one piece. And when we arrive, there, at the base of a particularly large tree.
これって？
誰かがここで野生動物へ餌付けをしているようだ。
Bits of vegetables from the school allotments are strewn around the ground in the exact same place as before.
確か以前学院生徒が餌付けをしていると。
ああ、それはすでに教諭方へ報告し注意済みだよ。
なら言葉が届いていなかったようね。
She mutters with a frown. However,
どういうことだ?
At first it had been a group of students looking after the injured raccoon. Then, after they'd been found out and told off, dorm Mother Katabami had released it back into the forest. But due to her kind nature, she kept on bringing food for it until it was fully healed.
片上寮長が釘を刺されたことで自分では世話ができなくなったため、初めに見つけた生徒らにやらせて。
寮長がどうかしたの？
え？
もしかして餌付けを行っているのが片上寮長だというの？
Did I accidentally voice my inner thoughts? That's not like me. Yes, I'm feeling more hard-pressed than I realized. I've made a big blunder in not being more aware of myself.
きちんと話して。私に話せないことなの？
Her eyes shine with sincerity.
誰にも話さないと約束するなら。
Knowing that she's not going to let this go, I heave a sigh at my oversight, then go on to tell her the whole story.
そう、片上寮長が。
What on earth is going on here? Asks Yuzu, looking at vegetables lying on the ground.
ウェンディゴの正体がロマンがないもので悪いが、この件は。
ええ、黙っているわ。きちんと反省してもう行わないとおっしゃっているのだし。
目下のところそいつが問題になってくるな。
The only sound is the dry crunch of leaves beneath our feet as we make our way back to the school buildings.
片上寮長には再度尋ねてみるよ。寮長でなく生徒らが行っているのだとしても。
黙っていてほしい。今は大ごとにしたくない。
二階屋の会の選挙も迫っているからね。
白羽さんに余計な辛労をかけたくないものね。
I nod and Neri smiles.
この選挙が終わって二階屋の会主催のクリスマス会を終えたら、私たち2年生はお役ごめんね。
She says. It's a prospect that fills me with both sadness and relief, and I find myself lost for a response. I spoke with dorm mother Katabami again, but
片上寮長も寝耳に水。
I used my mind-reading powers to their fullest extent to peer into the windows of her eyes, but her inner room looked exactly the same. Even if she was lying to cover for someone, I would have been able to spot something. Of course, lack of change can be just as telling when intuiting what someone's thinking, but
そいつもない。
I continue my internal monologue. Guess this means we have a second Wendigo on our hands, so
もう
sorry.
一匹いるということか。
She started saying it too late and I thought I had to read it. My bad. My bad, I'm tired. It's not like they're making a great mischief. Any great mischief, sorry. In fact, if you ignore the fact that it goes against school rules, they're actually doing a good deed. Even so, there's something about this benevolent Wendigo that I just can't shake. Staring up at the clear winter sky, I find something niggling at me. Well, what? Just then, I feared a faint ring of footsteps and turned to look up the corridor. In the distance, I see a familiar figure raise its hand and glide gracefully toward me.
お久しぶりです、八代先輩。
久しぶりというには、いや、立っていたかもしれないな。
She elegantly covers her mouth to hide her smile. I warn her that if she's spotted talking with me, it could affect her chances in the election.
そんなことで落ちるなら落ちても構いません。八代先輩とリンゴさんは何も悪いことをしていないじゃないですか。
I mean, yeah, she would understand. She says that like it's completely natural, and I feel my heart clench in my chest.
スオ君が頼りにするのもわかる。頼れる相棒だ。
スオさんが私のこと頼れるって。
いや、僕の感想だよ。客観的に見てもいいアミティエ同士だと思うがね。
そうですか。
She seems both disappointed and pleased at the same time. I ask her if she's here to see the dorm mother.
ええ、実は会長選に立候補する条件が最後の討論会だけになったのを報告しようと思いまして。
ほう、2つ目の難関を通ったことは聞いていたが、3つ目も通っていたとはね。すると、
はい、教職員から1名以上の推薦を受ける。推薦状は片上寮長からいただいたんです。
I nod. Actually, I'd figured she'd get hers from Sister Basket, but maybe she wanted to avoid any implication of unfairness in going to her own homeroom teacher, and so went to dorm mother Katabami instead. Anyways.
寮長として注目されがちだが、2年生の礼法やガーデニングの授業の教鞭をとっている。
Ah, so she also teaches. Yeah, right.
最後の難関、討論会ですけど、過去どんな議題が挙げられたとか。
さすがにそいつは無理な相談だ。僕の時も事前に何を議題にするか教えてもらえなかったし。
そうですよね。
Her braids droop dejectedly. Given that I owe her for standing up for Ringo, I decide I can spill some of the beans, at least provided it doesn't give her an unfair advantage.
議題や流れは話せないが、審査するのは通例。教職員が2名、2階屋の会の者が3名。そのうち4名が弁論を聞いてふさわしいと認めればいい。
5名中4名ですか？それってとても狭きもんじゃ。
Pretty steep.
だから最後の難関なのさ。教職員も2階屋の会の者もランダムに選ばれる。ま、大丈夫だ。僕の時は5名ともに認められた。
Yeah, and this is like needlessly complex in the sense of you're gonna be tested in a way, because this is a test, right? On something that you don't know what it will be. You have no past examples, and yet you are expected to perform well just in the moment, spontaneously. I hate that. I hate that. If there's a test or an exam, I want to know, like, what is the curriculum that I need to go through in order to prepare for it. And past examples always help to have an idea, more or less, of like how things are approached in the exam. Like, not knowing anything but having to prepare for it, it's just, how do you even do that? It's anybody's guess.
ということは真面目に答えれば大丈夫なのですね。
3つまでの立候補要項を達成することができる生徒はままいるが、最後の討論会だけは10人受けて1人くらいの難易度だったな。
Wow.
それって全然大丈夫じゃないじゃないですか。
議題は一つだけではないし、おっと、口を滑らせた。忘れてくれ。だがまあ平気だろう。スオ君は僕と同じ匂いがするしね。
スオさんが
1年前の僕よりも優秀だよ、彼女は。以前は頼り投げなところもあったが、今は確固たる芯もできた。
そうですか。
I thought she'd be happy to hear that, but instead she lowers her gaze to her feet. I ask her what's the matter.
スオさんが生徒会選挙に立候補すると聞かされたとき、驚いたんです。普段のスオさんなら目立つことをしたくないって性格だし。
私との約定だ。生徒会長になった暁に学院の謎を教える。
でもスオさんの意志は固くて、私彼女のスオさんの一番のアミティエでいたいから支えることにしたんです。
副会長になって支えようとした。
はい、私の立候補の理由は一緒にいたいから。でもスオさんが会長職を求める理由が知りたくて、でも聞けなくて。
She'd probably regret asking. If Sokun didn't answer, then she'd think she didn't trust her, and if she did answer, ay ay ay.
去ったアミティエの行方を知るためだものな。
Hanabishi is never going to be number one. I empathize strongly with Rika Hanabishi.
それでいいと思う。
They just wanted some extreme forms of entertainment at the academy. That's why they made the selection process so intense. Only the most unrelenting and strong-willed will survive. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it helps or is counterproductive to be that way, given that they even said that in the past it's happened that nobody was able to become president, and they only worked with the vice president, who I would assume then got all the responsibilities of the president, but like no actual recognition of their efforts, because they weren't even like allowed to be in the title of president. They were only vice president. Anyway.
尋ねたいけれど尋ねられないというのは臆病だからじゃない。問うことでスオ君を傷つけてしまうかもしれないと。
はい、でも
自分に理由を吐露してくれないことに胸苦しさを覚える。それもわかる。
八代先輩、
スオ君は聡明だ。今は語るべきではないと判断しているのだろう。そして話せる時が来たら一番の親友の君へ思いを語ってくれるだろう。
She closes her eyes for a moment, as though chewing over my words, then nods decisively.
ありがとうございます。少し心のモヤモヤが晴れました。
もやもや。
あれだけ話して少しかい？
やっぱり八代先輩はすごいです。大人だわ。私も年を重ねればいろいろなことが見えてくるのかしら。
父が言っていたが、 年を重ねて40にして惑わずという言葉。不惑とあるが今が一番ワクワクしていると言っていたぞ。
それってダメってことじゃ。でもワクワクってなんでそんな楽しげなんですか？
We share a laugh. It's been a while since I laughed out loud, and I feel my spirits lift.
あ、そうだ。片踏寮長へ報告してからリンゴさんのお見舞いに。
そいつはいい提案だな。
I skipped her too fast, my bad.
あ、そうだ。片踏寮長へ報告してからリンゴさんのお見舞いに伺おうと思っているのですけど、ご一緒にどうですか？
Right?
今くらいなら大丈夫かな？
大丈夫とは？
足の怪我がひどくてずっと授業を休んでいるんです。それで今まで距離を取っていた子たちも悪いことをしたって最近日産しているんですよ。
So Ringo's also been able to patch things up with her classmates, who had been giving her the cold shoulder. That's yet another load off my mind.
お化けに驚いて捻挫したという話ですけど、怪我の巧妙ですよね。
ああ。だが相手が怪異とはいえ許せそうにない。
Seems like the good-natured class president has swallowed the rumors that it was a monster that came at Ringo without question.
でもケムクジャラの狼男ってさすがにそんなお化けいるわけないですよね。
さて、見間違いということもあるかもね。
Why don't we, like, talk to her about it? Because I feel like everything has been investigated outside of Ringo, but didn't really have like a proper, or we weren't shown a proper conversation with Ringo to ask about all the details. Also, if we are working on the assumption that she is protecting the person who did this by inventing the story, then why are we relying on the story in the very first place? Like, I don't know. Anyway, what do I know? I'm not good at figuring out these mysteries at all. So the president is less like a position at the council and more like a powerful messianic figure. Oh my god. Could be, I don't know. Yuzuriha is our messiah does not sound wrong though. There's like a nugget of truth there.
見間違い。そうですね。ケムクジャラとかなら動物が突然現れたのを見間違えたのかもしれないですし。
That makes me think of the injured raccoon and the Wendigo.
襲うでなく驚かせたか。それなら罪は。
どうしたのですか？
いや、見方を変え。
Rikakun's words have dug loose a fragment of a thought lodged somewhere deep in my mind.
視点の変換。被害者と犯人。切り分けた捉え方をすれば。
The previously scattered pieces come together and fall silently into place. Looking at it that way, it all makes sense. But this means...
八代先輩？
いや、すまない。ぼーっとしてしまった。
保健室へ行きます？
大丈夫。低血圧だからたまにあるんだ。まず、片場寮長への報告を済ましてきたまえ。僕はここで待っていよ。
Fiddling restlessly with her braids, she looks up at me worriedly. But then...
わかりました。すぐ済ませるので待っていてくださいね。
With that, she trots into the dorm mother's room.
さて、どうしたものかね。
Her words have brought me to my conclusion. I still haven't been able to substantiate whether it's correct or not, but I think I'm probably on the money. Having found the key to the mystery is all well and good, but the new burden this knowledge has placed on me has me wanting to tear my hair out. No, your hair is beautiful, don't do that. To be honest, I've become fairly disenchanted about identifying the culprit behind the werewolf of the bell tower incident. And that's because after conversing with Rikakun a few days earlier, I now have reason to believe I know both the identity and the motive of the culprit. I've been agonizing over whether it's best to keep quiet and say nothing or whether I should confront them. However,
想像していたより面倒なことになったな。
the Council of Nicaea has been spurred into action, resolving to search for the culprit behind the werewolf incident. And all the while, I've still been wondering whether or not I should condemn them for their crime.
さあ、八代さん、どうぞ。
So I told the council I would inform them of what I knew about the circumstances surrounding the incident. Sister Basket is also here as a representative of the teaching staff, along with the vice president, Nerine Komikado, who's gazing at me somberly.
さて、何から話すべきか。
Of course, I don't intend to reveal the whole story while I'm still wavering. Instead, I plan to take a leaf out of Yaegaki-san's book and reveal enough information and conjectures to convince my audience while obscuring the rest. Yeah.
すべて初めからお話ししてください。
Without encouragement, in front of the entire Council of Nicaea, I start explaining how I had set out to meet Ringo at the chapel. I tell them how I'd waited and then finding it strange that she didn't show up, I'd gone to her room. Of course, we'd been having regular secret dates at the chapel for a while, but I can't exactly reveal that in front of Sister Basket. For her part, Sister Basket doesn't seem particularly intent on finding fault and lets me continue with a brief warning not to act imprudently. Going back to my story, I tell them how, when I went to Ringo's room, I learned that she'd been attacked by a werewolf and injured. To help guide her thinking, I lay out the chronology in great detail and emphasize the severity of the sprain she sustained as she tried to flee.
襲われた。悪意ある第三者がいるように聞こえますね。
Looking out at my audience as they discuss their theories among themselves, I spread my arms dramatically.
そして、鐘楼のルーガルと森をさまようウェンディゴの事件はつながっている。
I declare. Looks like I've successfully shaped the narrative in such a way that they are open to this unexpected revelation.
それはどういうことです？晩秋に起きたウェンディゴの事件ですが、あれは保護し、餌を与えていたことが始まりであり、理由だった。
Of course, they don't know that it was dorm mother Katabami who was behind it, but they have heard about the students who were keeping the animal in their dorm room to start with. I explained how the students had continued to feed vegetables to the creature even after it was released back into the woods, and that they had carried them in a white sack, and how that sack had come to be mistaken for the Wendigo of the Seven Mysteries, which was described as a white shadow.
そんなことが。学院の規律においては非難されることだが、善行だ。それほど非難されることではない。ですよね、バスキア教諭。
Getting the hint that she shouldn't bring up dorm mother Katabami's involvement, she goes along with me, albeit half-heartedly.
この善行だが、一つ厄介なことを引き起こしてしまった。野菜を定期的に与えたことで、餌付けしてしまったんだよ。餌付け？この学院には、冬になっても食べられる餌があると、野生動物は知ったのさ。食べ物の少ない冬の森で、餌を探さなくともいいとね。まさか。そう。佐々木りんごが言った。ケムクジャラというのは野生動物を見かけ驚き。
And in her panic, she hurt her ankle, I add. My audience turned to one another, discussing the consistency of this plausible explanation. However,
今の話が落としどころだということがわかるだろう。
there's no culprit to pin the blame on. It was driven by the actions of a well-intended group of students. The only culprit is a wild animal. It didn't even come after her, she was simply startled by the sight of it. It's an awfully convenient explanation, but it hurts no one.
一つ質問があります。どうぞ。佐々木さんの怪我ですが、拝見したところ随分とひどい捻挫でした。
This is a bit of a weird shoot. Would you say that to a teacher in English? If a teacher says, I have a question about this, and you, yes, teacher, shoot it. That feels a little bit, I don't know. Anyway, interesting choice. Sorry. Yeah, the ground was wet, she slipped, and it enhanced the wound more than it would have been necessary, or something along those lines. She trails off. In following the thread of my argument, she finds the conclusion starts to unravel.
あの日はひどい雨が降っていました。驚き滑ったのならどうでしょうか。
Sister Basket nods slightly at my suggestion, but then carries on with another question.
佐々木りんごさんは毛むくじゃらの狼男だとおっしゃいました。毛に覆われていることに関して言えば、動物でも特進がいくのですが。
She trails off, but her question is implicit. How could she have mistaken an animal for a human?
マスキや教諭が食い下がるのは予想外だが。
Still, I have a few ideas in mind for how to get people off the trail of the werewolf. If I lead her down one of those other paths, a flurry of whispers catches my attention. For a moment, I think it's because my silence has got people agreeing with Sister Basket's doubts. But that's not it. It's because of Nerine Komikado. She's stood up from her seat and is staring at me with teary eyes.
皆さんにお話ししておかなければなりません。
Oh no, what's happening? Oh no, the music stopped. My best friend. She keeps going.
八代会長がおっしゃった佐々木りんごさんが怪我を負った事件ですが。
For some reason, my mind's eye is filled with the vision of a desolate wasteland.
今まで語ったことは優しい嘘なのです。
The wasteland scene shifts, a stormy wind blowing from the leaden skies to lash cold rain against my cheeks. What is
佐々木
happening?
りんごさんを突き飛ばし怪我を負わせたのは。
Are you gonna blame yourself? What's happening? I'm so confused. Stop.
醜い嫉妬にまみれた。
Okay. I don't think it was her. Why is she doing this, though? Is it like a form of self-punishment or something? What is happening? Okay. Lying in bed, I listen to the sound of a cold wind rattling against the window. I'm filled with an unnatural fatigue, like after catching a bad cold. Lacking the will to move, I simply stare up at the ceiling. The absence of any inner drive has me thinking for the first time about how heavy our earthly bodies really are. Torso, arms, legs. The air seems to coil about them like lead, making even rolling over in bed feel like a feat. And why do I feel so utterly exhaustedly immobile?
ネリー。
It's all because of that charade in Iznik yesterday. Nerine Komikado had announced that she was the culprit behind the werewolf of the bell tower incident. Despite their shock, the council members had questioned her rationally. How things went down, how she had come at Ringo, and why, if she was the culprit, she hadn't admitted to it immediately.
恐ろしかったのです。
With that statement, she launched straight into her explanation of her crime. Cutting me off when I tried to stop her, she scrupulously revealed the truth of the incident. It coordinated with my own rundown of the Wendigo incident, but bouncing those ideas off of her turned out to have backfired spectacularly. Her description, replete with details only the perpetrator could possibly have known, served only to bolster her testimony. My cries to the contrary vanished into the ether.
私が無断で餌付けしていた動物を見られてしまったということが動機の一部ですが。
Oh, so she's taking blame for the Wendigo as well. The ghost of a smile flickered across her pained expression.
信用を取られてしまったという私の浅ましい嫉妬心が生んでしまったことなのです。発作的に突き飛ばしてしまった。
Okay. She whispered hoarsely. Her words were absorbed by the walls of Isnik, fading away into stone-cold
わ
silence.
かりました。この国会は私が持ち帰らせていただきます。コミカドネリネ副会長は沙汰があるまで謹慎を。
What does that mean more exactly? At Sister Basket's frigid words, Nettie turned to me with a smile like she'd been offered salvation.
自分がスイスを気取っていたせいで取り返しのつかないことになってしまった。
It's my fault for trying to remain neutral. For trying to prevent the scales from tipping one way or the other, neither covering for nor accusing the perpetrator. While I was busy thinking how I might smooth things over without assuming responsibility, the high tide drew back towards the far horizon. Superimposed on the ceiling, I see the specter of Nerine Komikado. It's likely she's covering for the real werewolf. She must have determined the culprit from the information I gave her during my rundown of the incident. And then, just like I'd been trying to do, she covered for them. However, while my strategy had been to pin it on something akin to an act of God, she chose to sacrifice herself.
イズニクで僕が犯人の名を挙げると思った。
She hadn't known my intentions or that I'd been trying to put the whole thing to bed. And so she'd hastily fingered herself for the crime. The effort of whispering the words out loud weighs me down even more. I feel like I'm made of lead that I'm about to sink into and be swallowed up by the mattress. A knock sounds at my door. Without the willpower to even respond, I simply continue staring up at the ceiling.
失礼します。
Oh. A voice accompanied by the sound of the door
風、
opening.
大丈夫ですか？
Ichigo Sasaki-kun's voice.
あの、
There's a note of fear in her tone. I suppose seeing me in this apathetic doll-like state would do that.
眠れていないのですか？そうですか。病気早く治さなくちゃですけど、そんなに眠れませんよね。
What is going on, Ichigo? Seemingly reassured by the sound of my voice, she's back to her usual self. But what's this about the cold? Oh, right.
仮病を使って休んで後輩にまで心配をかけて。
Ah, so she faked it. Okay.
リンゴもお見舞いに来たがったのですけど、まだ怪我が完治してないので。
無理はしない方がいい。
Not particularly good at acting like somebody else, ironically. I'm still not sure what's going on here.
熱が出て辛い。相手をしてはあげられない。
My tone brooks no argument and renders her speechless. For a while, there's only the sound of the wind rattling against the window.
ゆすりは先輩。
A shadow falls across my face, and I can tell that she's approached the bed. As I lie there stiffly like the Tin Woodman, she peers down at me worriedly.
一睡も
Oh, so sorry. How did I do that?
一睡もしていないのですね。ちゃんと食事をとっていますか？やつれていますよ。
I don't have the energy to respond. Through the vibrations of the air across my skin, I can feel her fidgeting. She's gearing up to something.
コミカド先輩ですが。
黙れ。今は何も話したくない。帰ってくれ。
She gasps, startled by my blunt admission of my feelings when she's so used to me acting the clown.
また来ます。
The door thuds shut with ruthless finality.
鍵を奪って締め出したのは僕だ。
I don't want to think about anything. Closing my eyes, I lock the door on myself. A full day after Ichigo-kun left my room.
昼食を持ってきましたよ。
Hey, someone we do like seeing. I hear the familiar purr of a wicked cat.
八重垣くんか。
今日の昼食は中華粥にしました。
ちょっと
持ってきたのは私じゃない。
Looks like she's brought her Amitia partner along with her. Their loud voices bring me feelings of both relief and irritation.
お前の手は私の手も同じだろ。風邪をひいたって聞いてましたけど。思ったより重症のようですね。
As I continue staring up at the ceiling, I sense her approach the bed and examine my face.
体を起こすことはできますか？少しでも食事をとった方がいいですよ。
The wholesome scent of the chicken broth mingling with the zing of ginger and onion whets my appetite. Oh my god.
体を起こすのが辛ければ食べさせてあげましょうか？
The idea of giving into hunger at a time like this pisses me off.
いい。いらない。腹は空いていないんだ。
Yuzu, what are you doing? I can sense her discomfiture. Yaigaki-kun addresses me next.
食わないと気分がめいる。どんな時でも食べないとダメ
They
だ。
are right, and they went to the trouble of getting you food, so be grateful and eat. She sounds like she's admonishing a child. Yeah, you are being a child right now, so it is perfectly fitting. But I don't want to talk about anything, let alone do anything.
コミカド先輩の話聞いてます。無期限の謹慎処分になったそうです。
Indefinite suspension? Jesus Christ, Neri.
2回屋の会での話がどうなって謹慎処分になったかは知りません。ですが、八代先輩が調べていた鐘楼のルーガルーのことで。
Sharp as ever. She's hazarded a pretty good guess.
謹慎処分になったことからコミカド先輩が疑われて裏が取れるまでのとりあえずの措置ということなのでしょ。だった
らなんだ。
らあなたがコミカド先輩の無実を証明しないで誰がやるんだ。
Right. She's absolutely right. But you see, I told my best friend how I felt about her. Then I rebounded with Ringo-kun. And then she went and exhibited that damn self-sacrificial streak of hers again. Stupid as it may be, I still love her. Who the hell even am I? Why is everything I do so half-assed? I'd tried to resolve the werewolf of the bell tower incident without tipping the scales either way. The whole thing was just a half-hearted attempt to try and look good in front of everyone.
八代先輩。
どうでもいい。どうでもいいと言ったのさ。今まで僕はネリーのことだけでなく学院のみんなが幸せに過ごせるように骨を折った。
I see.
だがもう心底どうでもいいって気持ちになっているんだよ。どうした？がっかりしたか？だがこいつが今の僕の偽らざる気持ちだ。
八代先輩。
君も世話を焼くなら自分のアミティアにしたらいい。あいにく僕は事足りてる。八重垣君と違って足りないのは心だけだ。
So the feeling behind what she's doing right now is not necessarily wrong. Because it's true that she had been trying so hard to please Nettie and everyone else, to be what everyone expected her to be. And that's not right. That she shouldn't have done that. She should have tried to be more herself. But now she is just reacting and overreacting in a negative way because of bottling that up for way too long. And this is also not a okay way to react to it, right? It's like, I don't give a crap about anything anymore. It's not true. You're probably oversaturated, but it's not your real feelings about it when, you know, sit down and calm down and let things settle. So yeah. That's why you don't bottle stuff up, because then you end up in this situation where you just like explode and everything comes out at once. And this enhances the self-deprecation to a whole new level. Her reaction makes me realize, without having to look in the mirror, that I'm sneering nastily.
コミカド先輩のことはどうするつもりだ？
ネリーのことなんて知ったことじゃない。
You say that, but you really don't mean it. You're just lashing out at the moment. I feel like I hear an inner voice asking me, really? Yeah. Wheels squeak, ominously bat-like. The palpable sense of anger in the room grows distant.
下劣って言葉があってよかった。あんたを表現するのにぴったりだ。
ツーアウト。
I mutter, showing her a modicum of respect by using the lingo of the sport Jägerkicken so loves. I drove away Ichigo-kun, and now I've spurned Jägerkicken. There's another girl who'll probably come by, so I can make it a third. My lips curl unpleasantly as my eyelids slide closed again. Ah. Yuzu. A knock comes and I slowly open my eyes. Night must have fallen at some point as I lay there, eyes closed but not asleep. I squint into the darkness as my retinas adjust to the dim light. He who fights with monsters might take care lest he thereby become a monster. And if you gaze for long into an abyss, the abyss gazes also into you. I think of Nietzsche's famous quote. Well, who is peering back at me? Myself, or...
入っていいと言ってはいないのだがね。
My scathing words don't cause so much as a falter in the purposeful steps echoing through the darkened room.
討論会を終えました。
So Shirahane speaks. Her presence is so faint that she could be alive or dead for all I know. Schrodinger's Suo. But I can tell that she's staring at me appraisingly, like a ghost hovering over me, impossible to ignore.
結果は
5名全員から承認されました。会長選に立候補する条件が揃いました。
Good job, Suo. Well done.
そうか。そいつはよかった。
よくなんかありません。
The fearful tinge to her words causes me, for the first time, to turn my gaze away from the ceiling and the spectre of Nettie and toward my visitor. Her form, shrouded in darkness, is so stunningly beautiful, it sends a shiver down my spine. It's a beauty that even under normal circumstances shakes loose, treasured, hidden childhood memories in those who see it. Now standing by my bed in the gloom, it's so overwhelming that it tugs at my very soul. Aww.
あなたが私をけしかけたのですよ。
She's both criticizing me and attempting to get a rise out of me. If there's no Schrodinger's cat reference, is it really an anime or visual novel at all? Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. There has to be. There has to be something. Just like Yaegaki-kun did, Suo-kun's jet black orbs remain pinned on me as she opens her luscious lips again.
まゆりを取り戻すための鍵を得るために。
彼女はもういない。とっくに損なわれてしまった。
The darkness deepens around my morbid joke. I was about to say that sounds like she died, which she didn't. Only heightening the ghastly beauty she emanates. It's bewitching. However,
八代先輩、もし亡くなったものと話せるとしたら、あなたなら何を話しますか？
good question. There is no flash of anger, nor any biting retort. She merely asks me a question.
思いつかない。話すことが多すぎる。
Perhaps the aura surrounding her has rubbed off on me too, and I answer honestly.
私は母に問いたい。ある。
亡き母。
We have that in common.
母は体が弱く入退院を繰り返していました。盛しい子供だった私はわがまま一つも言えず、ただそんな状況を受け入れていた。病気は重く、死が色濃い。そんな母へ私は聞きたいけれど、どうしても尋ねることができなかった。
Yes, I know that question.
問い、答えることで否定されたらこの世から消えたくなる。肯定されても母を苦しめるだけだと思っていたから。
The same question I too had been unable to ask. The words my father had said in my mother's stead.
私を愛してくれていたのですかと。
Silence descends once again. The gusting wind has stopped, replaced by a faint but audible sobbing.
母はそういった言葉を投げかけてくれる人ではなかった。でも決して愛していないわけじゃない。今の年になってそう思う。でもあの時、幼い時に確かに愛されているのだという言葉が欲しかった。私は我慢しないで尋ねたらよかった。
Even as a child, she knew, in her wisdom, that her mother feared voicing those words in case they only made their inevitable parting harder.
八代先輩、あなたはまだ手が届くところにいるのです。尋ねたら答えてくれるところに。
She speaks softly, like a mother addressing her small child.
小帝ネリネは高坂真由里です。あなたが助けてあげなくてどうするんですか。
僕は
I've driven away Ichigo-kun and spurned Yaegaki-kun. And now Suo-kun too.
スリーアウトにはしませんよ。
Ho 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 ho! So.
エリカさんからも頼まれているんです。しょげている先輩の尻を私の代わりに蹴ってやってくれって。
I love it. I love it. Tears well up in my eyes. She's reaching out to me across the gulf I've opened up. Right. Nerine Komikado was always there to save me.
ねえ、スオ君。
はい。
君の話してくれた話、僕の境遇とひどく似ているんだ。病気がちな母、言えなかった言葉があることも。
And so I tell her. I tell her how my father frequently moved around for work, so even when I did make friends, I always had to leave them behind. How it led to me becoming gloomy and withdrawn. I tell her how after becoming a complete coward, I met Nerine Komikado at my newest school.
八代先輩が私と同じ。
So I'll be kicking ass and chewing bubblegum. Yes, and she'd be all out of bubblegum.
君にある種のシンパシーを感じていたのかもしれない。
Neri was my very first best friend. She was always there to look out for me. I tell Suo-kun about the time when I introduced Neri to my convalescing mom. Ah, I'm so sorry. I'm so bad tonight at reading things. Yeah. And how a few months later her condition gradually worsened until she finally passed away.
そんなことが。
そして母の後を追うように小帝ネリネは大病を患い倒れた。長く苦しい闘病生活だった。だが彼女は病に打ち勝った。そして復学した彼女は以前のような快活さは消え失せ、内気な性格へと変わっていた。
Now that she was an introvert like I had been, people stopped hanging out with her, and she became a target of bullying for the boys in the class. What? Silken frowns, her hands balling into fists. The story seems to be hitting a little too close to home.
僕は今までの消極的な自分でなく、彼女を守れるようなものになろうと決
I
めた。
see. So there was some sort of role
以前のコミ
reversal.
カドネリネのような。
Mm-hmm.
かつて自分を守ってくれたように。
あ
So what are you doing now? Like, yeah. I promised myself I would become strong. For her sake.
八代先輩。
So what are you doing now?
あ、もう大丈夫だ。尻を嫌というほど叩かれたからね。迷いが吹っ切れた。
With my trademark cynical smile, I tell her to give Yaegaki-kun my thanks.
いちごさんにもです。
え？
励ましてやってほしいとエリカさんに頼み込んだのはいちごさんですから。
それで次は八重垣くんから君へか。
Really do have some wonderful friends, I finished to myself. I was about to say, you're surrounded by some great friends over here.
いちごくんにも頼む。僕はやることができた。
She nods. The ghostly aura is gone. Sorry. The ghostly aura. What is wrong with me? I think I kind of expected it to be ghastly, but then it wasn't, and then it turned out weird. The ghostly aura is gone, and she's again the fair and pure Suo Shirahane. When friendship is a Ponzi scheme! Ah,
大
that's
好き
funny.
な親友の無実を証明してやる。
Alright, cool. Very good note to leave it on for tonight. I think this is a great moment because then they're gonna dive into all of the stuff. So it's better to start rolling that ball next time so we can fully appreciate the whole process of it. Yeah, I think it's great. It fits. There we go. All right. This leaves me feeling a bit more hopeful for things than how distraught I was last time. Or I guess we all were last time. Last time was a lot. I still don't know if I've managed to process everything. But yeah. Yeah, thank you for being here. There we go. Somehow my Chrome decided to minimize for some reason and I couldn't see you, but here we are. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Big Nazu, yeah. I'm a little bit laggy, am I? Steam stuff. Whenever I close the game, it does that. Alrighty. Well, looking forward to seeing where this is going next time. I've had some suspicions, but I don't know if they fit. I'm really bad with these mysteries. I can't really see heads or tails until... and even when they do the questioning, I still don't understand why. And then they put it together, I'm like, ah, okay. I wouldn't have thought of it. Probably this time as well. There are aspects that I wouldn't have thought of it on my own. So yeah, I guess we will figure that out next time. Are we finishing it next time? It kind of feels like it's going in that direction. But then we would still have a few other ends to complete. I see here 1, 2, 3 ends. Yeah. I think it'll be possible to finish it the next time. Okay. Well, looking forward to it. And then the week after that, we dive into the alternate ends. Sounds like a plan. All right. Yeah, for now, this is going to be me signing off for tonight. Thank you so much for joining. It's always a joy to share these with you, and it's just a great way to end my day. So it always makes me happy to do this. I'm happy to be here 2 times a week, and that our schedules managed to align, and for you to be here. I appreciate it a lot. You are great. Thank you so much for all the for all the laughs. It is much needed, especially when things are a bit in a tense place, or a bit the characters are in a bit of a negative mood, which I guess it's been more of a staple of this story because of Yuzuriha's tendency for self-deprecating and stuff like that. But yeah, it it really brightens the mood and makes things easier to take in. So I appreciate it a lot. It's such a joy to experience all of this with you. So thank you so much, and let's do it again on Thursday. For now, good night and take care. Bye bye.